Now, a tale of 7 colors of 7 rivers. Far from what you describe as fresh and healthy. What happened? We destroyed it for gold. Well, this was what we found out in our latest expose, Destruction for Gold. The extent and effect of illegal mining in the Tano Nimre forest in the western region. In case you missed the full documentary last night, here is an excerpt put together by Rastos Asaridonko.
In the Tabosere Forest Enclave in the western region, miners pillaged the forest, claiming that they received concessions from the Minerals Commission.
This site was allocated to me by the Minerals Commission. They made allocations at a small-scale level. For miners like us, they don't give any certification.
Though the task force made a lot of gains, a number of excavators transported to Accra by the Interministerial Task Force under Professor Frimpong Boateng could not be traced. This medical doctor who purchased and hired excavators for hiring lost a number of them.
They were seized by the Interministerial Task Force. So I came to Accra to find out if the machines were really here. So when I came upon my search, I found out that 2 were at industrial area. So I went back to prepare myself and come for them, follow the procedure and come for them. So when I got back, I decided to check on them again. I found out that one of them was not around, was missing.
Perhaps the account of this low-loader truck driver hired to move some of the excavators gives an inkling of what happened to the missing excavators. I had already asked the Alhaji who sent me, and he had confirmed that it was one of the Galamstop machines that were being sold, and he was asked to transport it. So from Konongo to Bumfa Junction is a short distance, so I decided to help a friend in need. When I reached Bumfa Junction, he had told me a group of boys will receive the machine. Truly, I met them and they received the machine. Soon as they took the machine, a Land Cruiser vehicle came to the scene and took the money. How much did they sell the machine?
I see 50,000.
He said 50,000. But even with that money, I was told by the Alhaji who sent me that I would take the money. But when I got to the scene, the Land Cruiser people said they are the ones to take the money. So the occupants of the Land Cruiser took the money in front of me.
Now let's stay a bit longer on the subject, and we're joined by the Programs Officer at Forest Governance and Climate Change, Elvis Opong-Mensah. Elvis, many thanks for your time. How does this expose affect the work you do?
Hello.
Hi, Elvis. Can you hear me, sir?
Hello.
Hello, Elvis. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Good. So how does the expose that we put out there affect the work that you do?
Yeah, so thank you very much. Let me take this opportunity to greet your listeners and thank the JoyNews team for putting up this documentary together. So for us, I think this expose has come at the right time and at the right moment in the fight against Galamsey and the issue of forest governance and climate change. If you quite remember very well, in Ghana, the main commodity that hold the country as whole, or hold the economic together, is the cocoa industry. And the truth of the matter is that without forest, there's no cocoa. If your listeners who are around Techiman area will bear with me, Bunahafo used to be the leading producer of cocoa in Ghana. The reason why Bunahafo is not the leading producer of cocoa in Ghana and its western region is because they lost the forest vegetation. So currently, when you go to some places around Techiman, you see some big cocoa shells. Now they are using it for tomatoes and cashew. Those shells were put together by Cocoa Board. Do you think Cocoa Board will go and put those structures over there when there was no cocoa production in that area? It tells you there were a lot of cocoa production in those areas. But we lost our forest vegetation through illegal logging and other means. Those incidents are now happening in the western region. And this time around, not just illegal logging, but galamsey activities. The truth is, if we lose our forest vegetation, we will lose our cocoa production. And if you lose the cocoa production, we all know the implications. Just recently, when the city was doing so bad, what was the antidote? The antidote was to go for syndicate loans at the back of cocoa that we are going to sell out there to strengthen the city. And we all know the implication of when the city is falling flat. Now, the target against cocoa, if the cocoa industry is destroyed, or if the forest is destroyed, cocoa industry is gone. And once the cocoa industry is gone, we all know the implications for the country. So for me, I think as stakeholders within the sector, both government, civil society, the general public should ride behind this documentary, and let's start voicing out the campaign around galamsey and forest destruction.
But the documentary makes you believe that if we leave the fight to probably the government alone, we might not win. From your experience, what else can we do in terms of the citizens coming on board in order to win this fight?
One, let's acknowledge the fact that if as a country you want to win the fight against galamsey, it's easy. There have been examples that we all know that it has been easy. You remember very well before the last election when the president announced that he is putting his presidency online and he's going all out against galamsey. We all realized that the fight against galamsey was becoming successful, and we all saw the improvement in our water bodies. So all these things tell us that when there's a commitment from the political class or from the politician, it's possible for us to win this fight. The problem we are facing now here is the politicians always make political speeches, and they are not willing to fight against these issues of galamsey. Currently, we have the issue at hand from NPP, national, regional chairman from the Ashanti region, be involved in this galamsey issue around Samuna Boy. If you quite remember, I think last year or last 2 years, there was a similar issue whereby the general secretary in central region of the New Patriotic
You mean
Party
the vice chairman of the party in the central region?
Exactly. He was also involved in an issue around excavator and galamsey. When you go to the ground, our interns tell us that youth organizers, the constituency chairman, most of them are all political class who are involved in this. One, the politicians or the people in government have control over the military. They have control over the police. They have control over the BNI. They have control over national security. With all these security apparatus at their disposal, no one can convince me if they want to fight it. They can't. Now, just I think last year or last 2 years, Forestry Commission purchased drones. And then the idea behind the drones was to monitor forest reserve against galamsey. If you want to know people who are involved in galamsey, these drones could have faced them out so easily. So for me, it's not an issue that there's no mechanism in place to fight against galamsey. It's an issue of the political class are the beneficiaries of this galamsey menace, and they are not willing to fight against it. So all that they are doing and all that kind they are doing, for me, is much ado about nothing. They are not willing to fight it. Because there have been an example that when they were willing to fight it, we all saw the improvement.
So once we know the challenge, what then must happen so that we can win this fight as a nation?
So for me, there are a lot of action that civil society can do. One, the media coalition around galamsey, I think their activeness has also gone down as compared to when the campaign started at first. Can we revisit that strategy and ensure that the media are much involved and that coalition are also revamped? Whatever needs to go through for that thing to happen, I think it needs to happen. Two, citizens need to start to steal government and start to let government take action. For instance, this issue that is it Akonta mining. Akonta mining company is involved. No one can, you can't tell me people don't know the directors involved. Even let's assume we don't know the directors involved. There's not an illegal mining company. It's a registered company. If you go to the registered journal, it's easy for us to know the directors who are behind this company. Can we force government to sue them? Can we ask the court to compel government to sue them. So citizens can also take legal action. Above all, I think we need to start doing demonstration against our politicians, and not just a mere demonstration. It should be a consistent one, because I think that's the only thing that the government will listen, or that's the only thing, because they have realized that citizens are not talking much. Citizens are not doing much about it, and they are divided, the citizens, between NPP and NDC. So when NPP is in power and you talk against it, they say because you are NDC, and when it's NDC, they say you are NPP. They have done it so well that people are afraid to talk. I think at this point in time, we need to put the political color aside, NPP and NDC, and fight for the common good of the country, because the country don't have future. Now, very soon, we'll be importing water. I bet to mark it on the world, the next 5 to 10 years, Ghana will be importing water. If we are not careful, the crisis at hand, we cannot contain it in the next 5 to 10 minutes.
But now that we've seen that the political class cannot help us, what about we the citizens deciding that because we care about our river bodies and our natural resources, even if the political class brings the money, we will not do it? Is that something that can be achieved, or you think the citizens, because of the poverty level, we might not allow ourselves for us to get to that position where we say, no, we won't do it?
You see, everything resides on leadership. In every society, there will be some kind of greedy people. Society will not be harmonized at a point in time. It's not possible. So there's always a form of a leadership. Society wants to look at a leader and they want to take action. Let me try this one as an example. If you quite remember, some years back, Ghanaians were not used to African way. But when the political class around President Kojo time said we want to go, is it made in Ghana attire, and he asked every government department to wear made in Ghana. Now it has become common because of people were looking at the leadership. So people always want to look at leadership. Yes, the political class are not willing. Can civil society take that leadership role? Can the media take leadership role? We should not leave the leadership aside for politicians to take it. Maybe the media or civil society, but for the citizens, they are looking for a leadership. They need people that they can mobilize around to vent their grievances, for them to be able to stop this issue of illegal logging. If you want to leave for citizens to take action, it will never happen. Someone needs to do the mobilization. Someone needs to take the action.
Okay. All right. I'm grateful that you could join us here on this particular matter. So that discussion on Galamsey. But let's still stay on this particular matter, because the question is, for how long would we as a country sustain this fight? But wait, is there a national fight at all against Galamsey, and how exactly is that being done? Let's hear from former Lands and Natural Resources Minister Inusa Fuseni, who has been speaking on the AM show, sharing some rather interesting thoughts as far as the fight against Galamsey is concerned.
Serious crimes. And so, I mean, you need to understand that the crusade against the illegal activities of small-scale miners, and I agree with Falasa, it is not only the illegal small-scale miners who are causing destruction. The large-scale miners too are causing destruction. But why we are concentrating on the illegal activities of small-scale miners is simply this. Large-scale miners and legal small-scale miners obtain permits. The permits stipulate the conditions under which they will mine. A withdrawal of their licenses can only come about if they breach those conditions under which they are supposed to mine. And so the Minerals Commission has a responsibility, indeed a duty, to monitor the operations of large-scale miners and small-scale miners who have been permitted to mine, to ensure that they mine in accordance with their license. That is why we don't normally talk about them, but we know that they also have some infractions because of the loose monitoring and regulatory regime. Look, my brother, the minister said that 40%, and the environmentalists have said it clearly. 40% of what? Against what? It will take the river bodies that have been destroyed close to 100 years, if we do natural resource accounting, close to 100 years to recover if we do nothing. If we just stop Galamsey and decide that we are not going to mine, it will take the river bodies close to 100 years. Meaning, probably none of us presently on Earth in Ghana will be around when the river bodies return to their natural state. Now, are you talking about the fishes? There are no fishes. The river bodies are dead. They are dead. Just a few river bodies are alive, and they are struggling to exist. They are dead. Akunta mining, when I was a Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, was not a registered entity. The Chief Executive Officer of Akunta Mining had a mine support company, which was called Hansol Limited. And our investigations revealed that he was using the mine support company to mine illegally. We stopped him.
That is while you were still Minister for Lands and Natural Resources.
We stopped him.
You stopped him.
We stopped him.
Which area specifically? Which area specifically was he mining then?
In the Western region. The Western region.
So if it was an illegality, why did the law not kick in apart from stopping him?
He was doing mine support. He was doing mine support, but the intelligence revealed that he was doing illegal activity. Okay, so he had a company registered at the Minerals Commission to do mine support. Okay, so we stopped him. We stopped him. We don't do mine support. He persisted, and this required recalcitrance. He persisted. We seized his equipment. He sent us to court. My brother, he came to my office many times. I said, you can't mine. You can't even provide support because you have breached the conditions under which you were licensed to provide mine support. He took it to many places. I stood my ground. He left me and went and joined a political party and got a license to mine illegally. He got the license to mine illegally. This is the situation. When we talk...
Are you suggesting that...
Now, still on illegal mining, Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Osuefri Akoto, says traces of harmful chemicals used in the illegal mining business is the greatest threat to cocoa production. He says the practice could lead to the ban of Ghana's cocoa beans on the international market with an adverse effect on the country's economy. Daniel Jima has been speaking to the minister and filed this report.
About 30% of the country's total earnings is from cocoa. The cash crop, which is largely located at the gold belt of the country, is under siege by illegal mining operations. According to Dr. Efri Akoto, research by Cocoa Board has revealed only 2% of cocoa farms have so far been lost to illegal mining.
For me, in terms of acreages, it's not much, and I have the evidence. The Cocoa Board did a survey. They are saying that the equivalent of 2% of land under cocoa has been destroyed by Galamsey. 2% is nothing. And cocoa is concentrated in the gold belt. Okay, so if you extend it to the north in terms of total, it's not much.
Water bodies, including major rivers, have become targets of the illegal miners. Some dredge and wash for gold in water bodies, while others breach buffer areas. Though there are no records of chemical traces in cocoa so far, the Minister of Food and Agriculture fears the imminent danger.
What is very important is the water pollution, the cyanide and the other chemicals, mercury, which go into the food chain and end up in our stomachs. For me, you journalists, you don't talk about that, but to me that's the most dangerous part. It's not the quantity, but it's the environmental, the negative environmental impact. I'm afraid that it may go into the water in the cocoa areas. If we send a consignment of cocoa to, say, Belgium, and they test there and they find any trace, they could ban our cocoa exports. So it's not so much the impact on the production as to endangering our international trade. And the only thing we have is cocoa. We are now, as I told you, coming up in terms of the diversification, picking these 6 crops that we want to develop into the cocoa standard. But that will take time. That's a medium, long-term thing. Okay? But immediately, the danger of these cyanides and these very dangerous chemicals going into the chain, into our product, which we send abroad, to endanger our export earnings. That is, for me, the biggest concern. And therefore, the sooner we are able to stop this galamsey, the better it will be not to only safeguard the environment, but to safeguard our trade.
There is resurgence of illegal mining activities despite increased efforts of the government to deal with the menace. For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
Over 1,000 houses and 1,500 people have been displaced in the South municipality after River Denso overflew its bank. Some of the communities are Ashalaja, Maheng, Obom, and many more. It had to take the South Municipal Assembly with military officers and NADMO officers with canoe rescuing some victims. In an interview with the press, the MC for South, Joseph Nyani, revealed that he has not experienced this for the past 6 years, but they are working hard to rescue the victims.
MC, DMC, we call me 6 years. We NC that we had no NC that cry. This is the first time, and attest to the fact say it be a science that. This doesn't be a. You are seeing how best I bet to me a solve a problem. Yeah. Here to make sure say be in Koran in every I call a safe place. Yeah, to me among shelter baby met to me the theater. Now they will take it from there. Until my main aim and then is to make sure say be move on more or more is you are rather more feeling in idea call baby or met to me the theater and then it's not the best idea to me aye. It's no bar neighbor. Bibia show clearly say and trust is here. Until I say baby papa be mom. If there's a need, say a search now, you close down school proper, we'll do that, and so that in comfortable to me occupy those places. Yeah, make sure say we'll be at home at all for the time being. Yeah, until you know now, I join you here to can see say all my management staffs are here and to brainstorm and see what we can do.
Meanwhile, South Municipal NADMO Director Christian Afia Daniel says over 1,000 people have been displaced and have therefore allocated 100 churches and schools to help the victims.
Nkofua are victims this year, no, there are more than 1,000 people. And our houses now identified this year, be 500 houses. Honey, you know, dear, nipa and to me coho. Nipa and to me coho. And I insunu ba neighbor. Now, we are doing starting from Friday evening, Saturday, and I echo from Kakra, Sunday or some page, and Nadia. Aye, Ubu, but they said to me, Ayen, Yesu, Nadmo, yeah, sure, says Senna Chief Ekayan, Kofua, almost Shemu, to me piano, canoe, na edifa munina, edipi, Senna Beya, San Kofunina, a bit to me aba. Asalajahano, ya save heaven, churches, we identify about 10 people, 10 area, save heaven. And I identify 3 schools, Divine Academy, and a government school. Any one school, so I war Amasama Kwanisu. Start 3 schools, no so our into those churches, no, you bet drink coffee at the core. You make sure no say, on blanket ni mattress, or met me, and ya send a bear, Omunina, you bet rescue of my life, and send I be here, dear. You be a watch. Let say so far, Sanya Echo. A friend Christian Afiadenu, Municipal Director of NADMO South.
Now, my colleague Papani Ashale is there now for Joy News, and we'll be taking you live to the place for update on what's happening there after this break. Welcome back from the break. Now, a Cape Coast District Court has yet again adjourned the case involving the gruesome murder of 2 persons in Mankasim. According to the court, the decision is to allow the police get enough time to conduct their investigations into the cases. On Tuesday, October 4th, the 3 accused persons in the Mankasim murder case reappeared before the court for the second time. They were charged with conspiracy to commit murder and murder contrary to Section 46 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act 1980, Act 29. My colleague Richard Kojo was in court and joins us live with more. Kojo, what happened in court today?
Kojo, we know the background of this case where an applicant to the Anchor Psychiatric Training School was murdered, and then the 2 accused persons confessed to killing that person. Subsequently, they have made further confessions into killing another person. The body has also been handed over to their relative. Today, when we met in court, there were 3 accused that were supposed to stand trial. The third one is Jonathan. And Jonathan is a Mason, and he was brought in that he dug the hole, and in that hole, then Asobochi was buried in. So, according to prosecution, he acted with a common purpose to commit that particular murder on that particular day. But before they could proceed, the first accused, being Christopher Ekwakwansa, the Tufuhin of Ekunfiakwa, raised their hand and said that, well, he only brought in Jonathan to only dug the hole. Jonathan being a Mason, he dug the hole. So he was not part of the people, or he was not part of the 2 of them that committed a crime, and so they should let go of Jonathan. But because their pleas have not been taken and they were not allowed to speak, the court said that they have not gotten to that stage where those confessions and admissions will be done. And so based on the nature of the case, the judge adjourned the case to the 18th of October, where the 3 of them are supposed to reappear in court to stand trial for this murder.
All right, Richard, grateful for that update there. So that's the latest on that particular murder incident there. Now, to other stories. The Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Shirley Ayoko Boche, has given assurances that backlog of passport applications stemming from recent shortfalls in booklet will be dealt with this month. She's giving marching orders to officials manning all passport application centers to refurbish their facilities in a manner that will accommodate more applicants. Shirley Ayoko Boche on Monday paid an unannounced visit to all passport application centers in Accra to have first-hand information on how the shortage is affecting citizens. Blizzard Soga was with her.
She took everyone by surprise when she paid a visit, especially at the time no one was expecting her. Soon, many onlookers were about to find out that Ghana's Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Shirley Ayoko Boche, was simply performing her duty.
When you come, ask for the officer in charge. Okay, grateful. Thank you. Is yours one of such?
The minister wanted to have first-hand information from applicants on some of the challenges confronting them as they apply for the Ghanaian passport. Her decision was stemming from the backlog owing to a shortfall in booklets across various application centers. The first stop was the Accra Digital Center, which plays host to premium applicants. The next stop was the Accra Passport Center. This facility is arguably the busiest place as a result of its location in the national capital. And here is what some applicants told JoyNews.
And they told me to come in August, the first week of August, to take the booklet. But when I came the first time, they told me it's not ready. So I decided to wait for about 2 months to come again. Today too I came, and they said it's still not ready because they have no booklet available.
Last month, and I came here, they told me there's no book, so they cannot give me, so I should go and come back another time.
So what really is accounting for this shortfall, and when will the problem be resolved?
As we speak, we have booklets in stock, but the booklets that we have in stock are less than the demand, that the backlog that we have. Fortunately, we will receive booklets around the 13th of this month, way more than what the numbers that we have in the system that we haven't issued. And then at the end of the month also we'll have another 150,000. So we're expecting over 300,000 this month. So what we are going to do is to put out a message. We will print out as many as possible, especially starting from when this backlog started, so that those who have been denied their passports going back months will quickly get their passports. And then we'll publish it so that Ghanaians can quickly come and pick up their passports that they applied for. But yes, there is some shortage, a shortfall. My director likes to call it a shortfall.
We're here at the Accra Passport Center, and for those of you who are watching us on JoyNews, we have this exclusive for you where we've been touring all of the centers trying to get a first-hand experience of how some applicants are getting frustrated as a result of the shortfall in the supply of passport booklets across the country. The sector Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Shelia Yokobuchi, has been explaining that this is as a result of some of the external development which is affecting the timely delivery as was expected. However, government is giving assurances that this will be dealt with on time. And as you can see just at the background, there's scores of people waiting to try and get their booklets. Blessed Sugan reporting for JoyNews, Accra Passport Center.
I promise that we'll be taking you back to Ashalaja to monitor the situation there. We're still monitoring the progress of work there, and we'll bring details to you in our subsequent bulletins. But for now, which school will win the bragging right as the 2022 champion of the National Science and Math Quiz? We'll get to know from the 10th to the 26th of October as the competition has been launched with balloting for the preliminary stage. Over 100 schools will take part in the competition at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Already, many NSMQ enthusiasts are asking, will defending champions, Prempeh College, win the trophy for the 6th time this year to equalize the number of times Presec Legon has won it and kept the bragging right as the school with the most NSMQ trophies? Maxwell Agbagba has more from the launch of this year's contest.
The excitement from the 2021 National Science and Maths Quiz is still fresh in our memories. Although her school did not win, she won the hearts of many. Her name is Francisca Lamini, now studying at the Harvard University.
More than 20 years since the inception of the National Science and Maths Quiz, we've not had any girls' school winning the National Science and Maths Quiz. So if you have one lady in the competition, from Keta Senior High Technical School, we are here in Keta Senior High Technical School. We need to do this for the affirmative action, and I'm doing this for Francisca Lamini, who is in the finals. So here's it.
The NSMQ continues to wow many with new additions every year. The Sikh tune, which has been used for more than 15 years, has been replaced with a Ghanaianized version, which features the Ghanaian percussion instruments like the local drums and more. In this new Sikh tune, participating schools and their old students will get their favorite Jama flavor. Here is Managing Director for Primetime Limited, Nanekia Nkuma Asari, with details.
Sing Jama is part of secondary school life. So since this program is mainly targeted at secondary school students, this is really their kind of music. I think this seems like quite insignificant, but there's a significance to it. One of our aims as organizers of this competition is demystifying, science, making it look like everyday, letting us see the everyday bit of science in our lives. So, what better way to do it than to make even the Sikh tune look like us?
The 2022 National Science and Maths Quiz is expected to generate the usual thrilling sensation that always grabs the attention and interest of the country. For old students of the participating schools, the NSMQ provides the right platform for them to brag about their former institutions. Coordinator for the PSEC Legon NSMQ team, Jidepo Afram, says old students always have their eyes on the trophy and nothing else.
As coordinators, there's always pressure from old students, but how you handle it is very important. The old students are expectant of nothing but the trophy, especially on the part of PSEC. Even a second in the competition, it's like we have not done any job. So they are always expecting a lot and they will put out of pressure. I think over the past years, I've worked with the old students a lot and they know the work that myself and my team, we can deliver. So as time went on, the pressure that they mount has actually decreased.
An old student of the St. Augustine's College and UPSA Law lecturer, Professor Kofi Abochi, says the competition must be given all the needed support.
My interest in the National Science and Maths Quiz dates back to the very first edition in 1993, when I participated not as a contestant, but I was one of the cheerleaders supporting St. Augustine's College, and my interest in the contest hasn't waned. I've still remained quite excited about it. I think it is one of the few enterprises that is actually worthy of praise, given the fact that it sustains the interest of students and the general public in STEM education. And it is one private enterprise that I think, as a country, we should all rally around and support.
Technical advisor at the Ministry of Education, Sheila Boama, says the NSMQ has rekindled the love for the sciences in many senior high schools.
Our lives has been intertwined with science in a way that we cannot entangle. And so whether we like it or not, with the experience of COVID, there's been a reclassification of roles and professions. And so that awareness is informing a lot of things from the policy dimension, bottom up. So a lot of interventions are currently ongoing to recalibrate the system so that we are achieving a lot more science interest. And definitely the National Science and Maths Quiz is promoting some of these things indirectly.
Per the schedule, the preliminary stage will take place from the 10th to 13th October. The 1/8 stage will be from the 15th to 18th October. Quarterfinals from the 19th to the 21st October. The semi-finals will be on the 23rd October and the grand finale on the 26th October. PSEC Legon still remains at the top of the NSMQ Trophy League table with 6 trophies. Prempeh College managed to close the gap to 5. The gentlemen from Prempeh College want to be at par with PSEC, and they want to do that in grand style at Kumasi and present the ultimate prize to the Asante-Hene again. For some neutrals, they want a less fancied school or a girls' school to win for the first time in 29 years since the inception of the competition.
Remember that the National Science and Maths Quiz is not just a quiz exercise. It is actually a celebration of academic brainstorming and technological excellence. I'm saying that because just some days ago, the Sci-Tech Fair ended. And we saw some of the amazing and innovative things that our senior high school students had on display. What you've been waiting for, what all old students in Ghana have been waiting for, is here.
This is where I need the school anthem one more time. One more time. One more time. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. What's up?
Well, in business, the Cybersecurity Authority is making a strong case for businesses to set aside about 15% of their budgetary allocation to fighting digital crime. This has become necessary to protect businesses against growing incidents of cyber crimes across the world. Acting Executive Director of the Cybersecurity Authority, Dr. Albert Ntribosiako, made the call in an interview with Joy Business after addressing stakeholders at the launch of the 2022 Cybersecurity Awareness Month.
The issue of funding for cybersecurity activities has been a challenge in Ghana and some parts of Africa due to budgetary concerns. The call for allocation of some funding has become critical at this moment for both public and private sector organizations as cybercrime continues to increase and thereby becoming a threat to national economies. Dr. Albert Ntribosiako is positive that this year's Awareness Month will be used to solicit public support against the menace.
That is a prospective, the forward-thinking approach of looking at dealing with the issue. I had to touch on the organizational level because we have businesses who also need to take their responsibility. And the case I was making here is this. If you're a business, depending on the nature of your business, is it a fintech, is it a financial institution, is it e-commerce, is it just a public sector even institution? Once you begin to think of adopting an ICT investment, digitalization, or any digital project you need to undertake, between 15% to 25% should be dedicated to cybersecurity. So if you are investing in 1 million USD, then the expectation is you can calculate the amount of money at a minimum level, 250,000 of that figure should go into cybersecurity investment. That is the starting point. Of course, it depends. If you are a financial institution and you are doing online banking, it means you need to increase it possibly to about half.
Deputy Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Amapoma Boatin, told journalists that government is exploring other means to ensure funding for the Cybersecurity Authority.
With the law, we had earmarked certain ways of generating funds to support the Cybersecurity Authority. Recently, one of the areas that we're looking at was the possibility of having access to some of the e-levy funds to support the ecosystem. But unfortunately, things haven't gone as planned. So aside the various monies that come in, we need a structured, a dedicated fund to have for security issues or to have for cyber, so that it's not when issues come up that we have to quickly start looking for money to support the system.
The authority also used the occasion to sign a memorandum of understanding with Mozambique and Rwanda on fighting cybercrime.
So time to talk sports, and Lawrence is already in the studio with the latest. Lawrence, good morning.
Good morning, Bruce.
What's up today?
It's the biggest club competition in Europe. It's the Champions League, the return of the Champions League. We are back from international break, so clubs are also getting back into their shape. We saw some of the good results over the weekend. The Champions League also is up next. For the Ghanaian perspective, yes, Mohamed Kudus is in action.
Okay.
And also another player who could be in action is Abdul Fattah Isaaku. Remember, he scored a winning goal against Nicaragua in the friendly last month. On the club side, yes, he could be in action for Sporting Lisbon. However, the center stage is for that man, Mohamed Kudus. He's been talking ahead of the game. He says the Champions League is one competition that, as a kid, you dream of playing in. Not just to play in, but also to excel and then help your team. I think that's what he has done this season. 2 Champions League games, 2 goals. It's quite interesting how he's lived up to expectation this season. We all complain about the start to the season when he wasn't getting playing time. But I think since he's come into the team, he's done well. He was rested over the weekend against Go Ahead Eagles. So that means he's in line to start for Ajax against Napoli today. One thing that makes Ajax, this game critical for Ajax is that they've won 1, they've lost 1. Napoli has won 1, and then Napoli have won 2. Liverpool have lost 1, and then won 1. So Ajax facing Napoli will mean that if they win, they give themselves at least a hope of qualifying from the group, because they are playing 2 games back to back against Napoli in the group, in that group. So if they are able to pick up favorable points, it leaves them in that position that Liverpool and then Ajax, Liverpool and then Napoli will now have to battle for the other spots to join Ajax. Mohamed Kudus, I feel, is one player that Ajax will have to take very good care of. I think playing him as a false nine, it's giving him the needed room to finish off the chances that they create. There was an issue of he not making people, the people around him play to their maximum best because all the time they have to seek him. One thing about Ajax's style of play is that when you have that player who can handle the ball, who can move with the ball, you just have to give him that ball. If Mohamed Kudus is up front, you expect the Tadic, the Bergwijns to give him that space, to create for him, to finish off. And that is one thing I feel they are doing. The only thing I feel has not been to their favor is the fact that they are still learning how to play alongside him. So
alongside Kudus as the force.
So yes, the midfielders who want to make that run are not making it. It looks like you're a bit laid back because Kudus is that player who will drop and then move into space. So if you've not read that thing about him, you also struggle playing alongside him. So another game that will be interesting in the Champions League.
What's the position of Ajax on the table?
In the table, they are second at the moment.
Second, okay.
Yeah. Another match that will be interesting is Inter versus Barcelona.
That should be a cracker then.
Anytime I hear that fixture, only one thing comes to mind. 2010 when
Jose Mourinho coaching Inter Milan versus Barcelona.
So this fixture is one that interests me a lot because it gives you that vibe. Probably I was new to football, not that new, but then I was still beginning to understand my way through football. And then the kind of passion Mourinho was on the touchlines, it always gives me that vibe.
Yes.
Their fight, Inter has not been great this season. They are struggling in the Serie A.
I'm told even people are now chastising Lukaku.
Lukaku has not played for some games now. I think he's out due to injury. But then the man they brought in the dugout to replace Antonio Conte, which is Inzaghi. Inzaghi has not lived up to expectation at Inter Milan. You look at Inzaghi handling Lazio as a team, and then he did quite well with it. It's just like that saying that you can handle the pressure at some teams, but then not all teams are meant for.
No, how many months has he spent at Inter Milan?
I won't dispute that, but there are some clubs that demand results the very moment you get there.
Okay.
If you fail to deliver, you are gone. Inter is one of those clubs. So I think this game will be very critical for Inzaghi.
Okay.
If he's unable to pick up results, that means his future at the club could look shaky and then he could be gone even before we break for the World Cup.
It will be an interesting game, really. Going back to that finals, I think Barca was, and Xavi was part of that team. That was beaten, by Mourinho's team. And Mourinho had Eto'o, who had been ditched by Barcelona the previous season. Mourinho took him, and then they
fine-tuned him. Yeah, and they also had that striker, Diego Milito.
Yes.
That guy was just deadly. Yeah, sure. So I think this game...
So maybe Xavi would want to go seek a revenge of what they did. So let's see how...
For those who want to follow that game, yes, there's commentary on Joy 99.7.
Okay.
For this game.
All right. So these are two games. What are the other matches we have in today? Okay. The other fixtures we do have.
I think Liverpool are playing Rangers. And then there's Sporting Lisbon in action. As I've mentioned earlier, Ajax are playing Napoli.
Right.
There's Club Brugge playing Atletico Madrid. Porto against Bayer Leverkusen. Bayern, Victoria Pleasant. Marseille, Sporting Lisbon, and Frankfurt, Tottenham.
Okay, interesting games there. And that's your sports for today. And that's how we wrap up the bulletin. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. My name is Samuel Kojo. Do enjoy the rest of our shows. Have a good morning.